This program is part of WQED's Pittsburgh History Series.
What makes Pittsburgh is the people in Pittsburgh. They make it better. They make it like the place to live. I mean, it's where you want to be. It's where the action is.
Okay, let's consider Pittsburgh, the city and its surrounding area in western Pennsylvania. What makes this place so unusual?
Pittsburgh, I think what makes Pittsburgh Pittsburgh is really its neighborhoods and its people. And I know you hear that all of the time, but it's true.
There's so much about Pittsburgh that makes us unique. I think a lot of it's the way we drive. I mean, we deal with the constructions and the potholes and the parking chairs.
It's aesthetically pleasing. It's small enough and manageable. It's very rich in its culture and heritage.
You know, there's a depth of family, there's a depth of culture.
The big hair, the loud voices.
I've gone to other towns and I always want to come back.
In this program, we're going to talk to a lot of people who know this place, and we're going to look at some of the things that make it interesting.
Well, a lot of friendly people to start.
I would say Pittsburgh's very green.
I just love when somebody comes in from out of town and take them through the Fort Pitt Tunnel and see that city open up, you know, when you come out of the tunnel. And
the hills, you can't get from point A to point B without going over or through a hill.
I think Pittsburgh's a very European town.
I think our neighborhoods, our ethnic diversity, and our work ethic.
Everyone knows the Steelers, the Pirates, the hockey.
Well, I like the topography, how it's made, the hills, the valleys, things like that.
You can stand up on a hill above town and look down at the skyscrapers, so that's really unusual.
It's the greatest small, big city. It is.
You still find little niches like this where this is where you come for your cake. I still have a place in Bloomfield that I go for pizza. Little special places like this.
We've got more bridges than probably any place in the world.
It's probably the warmest place that I've ever been in.
You don't put too many people down. It stays down in Pittsburgh. It's like the ball club. They just keep coming back at you all the time.
What makes Pittsburgh are the people, and there are a lot of engineers in the people of Pittsburgh.
And this is a beautiful city. It gives you everything that you need in a nice, small little city.
So Pittsburgh's a great place to live.
And I've never seen a place like Pittsburgh, where family is so extended and it's so much a part of the culture of the region. Everywhere you go, family matters.
We're going to call this program, What Makes Pittsburgh Pittsburgh? Even though we know there's no real easy or definitive answer.
It's a good place to be.
Major funding for What Makes Pittsburgh Pittsburgh was provided by the Buell Foundation, serving southwestern Pennsylvania since 1927. Additional funding was provided by Nova Chemicals, producing plastics and chemicals essential to everyday life.
Maybe the most obvious thing that helps define the Pittsburgh area is its natural setting, its geography.
I think the geography has a lot to do with what makes Pittsburgh Pittsburgh. The hills, the gullies.
You talk about terrain, of course we have hills, and anybody that's used to these hills, when they get out in the flat country, I think they're glad to get back to the hills.
I love the hills and valleys. I'm originally a flatlander, and I don't like flatland because I think I'm genetically programmed to, like hills and mountains because that's where my family came from.
I miss the hills when I'm away.
And the hills were one of the things we talked about with Dr. Joel Tarr, a history professor at Carnegie Mellon, who studied many aspects of this beautiful part of the country.
Pittsburgh is a beautiful place because you have this wonderful confluence of rivers and hills. And of course, how it got that way, of course, is not widely known, that this was really an uplifted plain that was truncated by streams and rivers that ate into the soft strata over time, creating this pattern of hills and valleys that we have. And if you stand on, let's say at Mount Washington and look across the horizon, you realize that most of the hills you see are about the same level. You don't have like the Rockies, sharp peaks and so on. They're about the same level, and that's because it was this plain that was cut and truncated by these streams and rivers. I think the people that live here often don't appreciate what they have. And I think you hear a lot of complaints about steep hills and weather and ice. And I think they're more conscious sometimes of the disadvantages that the topography presents and the advantages, how different it is to live in a flat city. The boring kinds of places. And here you never get bored when you're driving around. You may be saying some pretty nasty things about the hills or trying to go from one place to another. I always say it takes a newcomer to the city about 5 years to acclimate themselves to finding their way around. The hills and valleys and the development of these neighborhoods in these locations give them a special kind of identity. They have that's why, what do we have? 85 or 90 identifiable neighborhoods within the city of Pittsburgh. You're always finding, these special little places, and many of them have names and have a character of their own.
Pittsburgh's full of neighborhoods. You don't get that everywhere.
Pittsburgh is a conglomeration of neighborhoods, and they're all, because of the terrain, pretty insular.
We met Paul Sentner, a local history buff, in his neighborhood called Elliot.
Daniel Elliot bought this land in the late 1700s. He bought this land, and he bought the land that's also known as West End, Temperanceville.
It's little. Basically, it's this hillside straight across over to Herschel Field.
It's a very nice neighborhood.
One way you can describe where it is if you ask them if you know what the West End Overlook is. Since 1960, it's been called the West End Overlook.
It's the West End Elliot Overlook, and it is a beautiful view of the city.
Anybody that's a stranger and all that, I always ask them, you know where the West End Overlook is? Yeah, well, that's it. Come on up. The old name for it is Dog Time. That's what they used to call it, because everybody owned a dog.
Where you know where Herschel Field is, it's up over the hill here. It was a coal mine, and there was not a major operation where they had large tunnels and everything. He said that they used dogs to pull the smaller carts out of the coal mines, and so a lot of those dogs were around. A lot of people have dogs.
We have the two dogs, and this one's Frank, and that's Fritz. And this is Elliot.
I do notice that almost everybody seems to have a dog. She goes crazy every time a dog walks by, which is about 50 times a day.
It's an old-fashioned neighborhood. You walk down the street and people step off their porch to say hello. Everyone knows my dog's names. They may not always know my name.
Her name is Kristen Futrell, and that's Jack Worthman. This guy is Regis Cormick, and that's Michael Flaherty and his mother, Kathy. They all live in one row of houses there in Elliot.
There's 10 houses. There's 5 big ones and 5 little ones. And it goes big, little, big, little, big, little,
2.5 story, 2, 2.5, 2. We've all changed it a little bit since then, but I have one of the little houses. I think it's called a Dutch Colonial.
There's 10 of them. They were built soon after the turn of the century, starting on that end and moving this way.
The story goes that they were built to illustrate that the worker and the boss could live in the same neighborhood.
The story is that the builder was a very religious man, and the homes were originally built for people who worked at the steel mills right down the hill, and it was dangerous work, and he thought they needed a little extra protection, so he named the homes the 10 Commandments.
They have been called them as long as I can remember. Everybody in the neighborhood calls them that.
I said, which commandment is this? And she said, the 4th commandment. I said, honor thy father, thy mother.
You may have noticed these 10 houses with the biblical name have some kind of view.
Yeah, we do have a beautiful view.
The whole thing's the view. It's 360, basically. You can see the whole thing.
It was the view, yes. It was, because at that point I didn't know the neighborhood like I do now, so you can't help but fall in love with the view.
We just took it for granted.
I just think the downtown skyline, especially from the view up here, it's almost set up, it seems like bowling pins. It's a triangle, and it's just the way it fans out.
And the view changes, when the weather changes in the different seasons, the time of day. It's really a remarkable place.
Where's the best view? Between house 5 and 6. And I'm number 5, next door is number 6.
You can hear the trains go by, but you can't see it, so it just looks like you're right on top of the river.
You have no idea how many barges there still are, carrying coal and whatever else, until you live in a place like this and you see them going by all the time.
Watch the traffic jams crossing the West End Bridge and on Route 65.
Our family has owned this house for 60 years, and I've lived most of my life here.
I've only been here for 40 years.
People stay up here, and people hand the houses down, it seems, from family to family. So it's fortunate enough to find the place the way I did.
I asked my mother about, was the view, part of the thing, and she said, what are you talking about? Pittsburgh was still the Smoky City.
Like when I bought the house, there was one window on the back because there was no view in those days because the pollution was so bad.
And people hated living up here because of the train tracks. You'd get your washout, which in the 40s everybody hung out in the yard, and a train would go by and you'd see this wall of black smoke just coming up the hill. Yeah, so it was not the view.
No, it was not for the view.
Which is hard to imagine now. I put a lot more windows in.
Oh, we absolutely love it. Yeah.
Sit out in the evening.
Oh, yeah.
Sit nice and quiet.
I built a table out on a back porch, a fold-away table. Stay out there and enjoy your coffee or whatever you have. And it's nice.
I just love to watch the people coming and going. Say it's a football game, you'll see the crowds coming and you hear the roar of the crowd and when they're leaving. The fireworks.
Fireworks, you can just stand in the backyard and watch fireworks.
Yeah, fireworks from here are fabulous.
We can watch them from all over the city here.
Although we all get tired of fireworks because Pittsburgh is fireworks crazy.
All the relation comes 4th of July. It's about the only time we see them. They come and enjoy the fireworks for half an hour, boom, they're gone. And we don't see them again until next year.
When we lived on Lakewood, I never looked out the window because there was nothing to look at, but your neighbors. But when you're on a hill, when you look out the window, you see something.
I don't plan on ever leaving here. I never get tired of it. Always something to see out there.
Once a hill person, always a hill person.
Yeah, but there are some folks who root for the rivers.
You go in some cities and they don't have a river. We have 3.
The 3 rivers.
Rivers, hillsides, and that. Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh. Got the confluence. Nowhere else. Confluence.
From the confluence, we went up the Monongahela to the town of Duquesne, where Dan Burns is a police officer who got injured and while recuperating, started to write history books with photos.
Most people think that the only thing cops know how to write are tickets or things like that. But I like to write. I've always liked to write. It's a good distraction from the law enforcement aspect. It's also a nice hobby, and I have a lot of fun doing it.
We followed Dan to Oakland, where he does a lot of research.
Right now, the project that I'm working on is the book titled Pittsburgh's Rivers. Primarily, most of the photos are going to come from here. The book is a cooperation between myself and the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh. I have access to all of the photos that Carnegie has, and there are literally hundreds that I've been able to scan here. I find that most Pittsburghers and even people out of Pittsburgh identify Pittsburgh with the rivers. The rivers, are why Pittsburgh is where it is. From the 1700s up through today, our commerce, our communities, were built on and grew up around the rivers. Industry thrived because of the rivers and the availability of transportation. And there'll be photos in the book of the Mon Wharf at the start of World War I, where there were literally hundreds of people seeing off the troops off to war. The Mon Wharf used to be a hubbub of activity, not just for the river traffic, but there were open air markets there. So seeing a lot of those pictures of what we still have today, but it was used in a different way then are fascinating. Every time I scan a photo or I read an article, whether it's something current or something that dates back to the turn of the century, I learned something. So there are certainly a lot of surprises. I didn't know the impact that we had as Pittsburgh that we had on river traffic to New Orleans. A lot of the larger steamships, stern-wheelers, and even transport and cargo ships that were synonymous with the Mississippi Delta were built here in the Pittsburgh area. I can scan a photo and I can look at it, but I go back to it another day and see something I didn't see the first time. I scan them in at a very high resolution, so I'm able to zoom in and pick out certain elements of a photo, and I usually wind up seeing something different and even more interesting and more fascinating. We identify ourselves with the rivers. I think we always have and we always will as Pittsburghers. and I'll probably come up to the industrial time, the industrial age, the river industry, as far as coal, oil, the barge traffic, and industrial traffic. Again, the Gateway Clipper has a great history here in Pittsburgh, and using the rivers, and a lot of their boats will be in there also.
When you look at our rivers, you often see one of the Gateway Clipper boats.
The Gateway Clipper fleet is one of the largest excursion vessel companies operating in the United States. We service sightseeing cruises, dinner cruises, charters, weddings, corporate functions. It's a wonderful opportunity for people to get out on the water and enjoy themselves for a few hours.
Terry Wergenis is now the president of the Gateway Clipper fleet.
My grandparents started this company in 1958 with a boat from, actually came off of Lake Erie. They brought it here to Pittsburgh, and that was our first boat. Sailed in May 17th, I believe 1958 was the first cruise.
Now their flagship is the 300-foot-long Majestic, and Brian Krug is one of her captains.
I'm very lucky being a captain with 3 rivers. I'm just not going up and down. I got 3 rivers to work with. They all meet at the point of Pittsburgh, which is an absolute beautiful skyline.
And when you're on the water, there's always a chief mate. This is Tara Haley, who makes sure the engines are okay, the pumps are working, the passengers are happy, and everyone knows the basics.
There's 3 rivers. You got the Mon, the Allegheny, and the Ohio. A lot of people do know that, but they don't know which river they're on. They don't know if they're on the Ohio, the Allegheny, or the Mon. They ask that a lot.
The rivers of Pittsburgh are Pittsburgh's reason to be. They're the reason that we came here originally. They were our only transportation source back in the 1700s.
The rivers twist and turn. The Monongahela River flows north. It's very different than any of the other rivers. It has a mud bottom. The Allegheny has a sand and gravel bottom. They are a great reason for Pittsburgh to be here today. I don't think the Pittsburghers, Western Pennsylvanians, have the appreciation for how much commerce even goes on the rivers today. There's no automatic pilot because the rivers turn, there's banks, there's bridge piers, there's always something too close.
You got wind, you got current, you have storms, there's a lot. You have to be on your toes.
Well, when you're going up and down the rivers, you have to know the river height. If it raises a little bit, the Majestic's 40 feet high. Some of the bridges are only 41 feet high, so that's the main thing. You don't want to rip the top of the boat off.
They are beautiful rivers, if you think about it. A lot of people are like, oh, look how dirty, and it's not really that it's dirty, it's the mud bottom, some rivers,
With all the new EPA laws and the rivers have cleaned up, the game fish have returned to the city of Pittsburgh, walleye, muskie, largemouth, smallmouth bass. We had the Bass Masters Classic here this year. Who would have thought that? The river fowl and the birds that have come back, and the amount of people that enjoy these rivers in the summertime, they really take advantage of them.
People are able to use the rivers because in the 19th and early 20th centuries, the Army Corps of Engineers started building dams and locks to keep the water in, to keep the rivers navigable.
And before the locks and dams, in the early 1900s, you could actually walk across the river and the water depth would only come up to your shoulders. But due to the locks and dams, now we're navigable 365-day year-round navigation.
Engineers in general have had a profound effect on Pittsburgh in countless ways. They built all our bridges. They figured out how to make heavy industry work.
The engineers are the ones that applied the technology primarily in the steel industry and developed the blast furnaces and the coke oven batteries and the rolling mills, and then built the mills here on the rivers of Pittsburgh. After the Army Corps of Engineers and people put dams on the rivers to allow them to be used for transportation. So engineers have been a very, very integral part of the city of Pittsburgh since its very beginning.
We had so much heavy industry in iron and steel and glass and coal and a lot of things that were very engineering intensive.
Pittsburgh wouldn't be the same without engineers, that's for sure.
It's not easy to define exactly what is an engineer. So we talked with Jim Boyle, who's an engineer for Duquesne Light, and we met engineer Tony DeGioia and George Tannehill from the Coppers Company when they came to have lunch at the Engineers Society of Western Pennsylvania. They met Carl Angeloff, who's an engineer at Bayer. We talked with Deb Lang, civil engineer and director of the Steinbrenner Institute at Carnegie Mellon, Alex Schuley, civil engineer and a senior VP at Mellon Financial, and we met with writer Tim Palooka, who was busy working with Sherry Mershon on a history of the Engineers Society. We thought they all might help explain what is an engineer.
An engineer is really a problem solver.
An engineer is a person or a profession that creates a better way of life.
Actually, we build things to improve the health and welfare of people.
One definition of engineering that I like is that engineering is the art and or science of making things practical.
It's a very vast, I mean, you could be an electrical engineer, you could be a mechanical engineer, you could be an aeronautical, you could be a chemical, civil, environmental. But basically, we are a service industry and we make things work or we make things better.
They're practical scientists is what they are. They're practical scientists. They take what science has taught them and they use it to make useful materials, useful structures, bridges, tunnels, roads.
They make things work, they make things stand up. You know, they make things fall down when they need to fall down.
And Pittsburgh engineers, like so many groups of like-minded people in the late 19th century, started this club that still exists today.
The Engineers Society of Western Pennsylvania was founded in 1880 at a time when a lot of individual cities around the country were forming these technical societies so that people could exchange notes, basically, on what they were doing and what the latest methods were, and pool their knowledge.
Well, I think the founders back in 1880 realized that it was a good idea to pool all of the various disciplines together.
They hold major conferences every year, including the Bridge Conference, the Brownfields Conference, and the Water Conference that's been going on forever.
So it's a gathering place of know-how and knowledge and educations of all types.
But engineers still work all around us, taking care of things we take for granted, like electrical power. In 2005, Duquesne Light started an infrastructure project that involves putting in new lines and replacing some aging equipment, including here in Oakland.
And what we're doing today is we're moving a new, larger transformer from its delivery location in Panther Hollow here all the way down to our substation on the Boulevard of the Allies.
The transporting of the transformer has been planned by various teams of engineers from Duquesne Light, the city of Pittsburgh, and Edwards Moving and Rigging of Shelbyville, Kentucky. Wes Knapp is the Edwards project engineer here.
This transformer is a very delicate piece of equipment that cannot take shift changes or vibrations. You've got a lot of hills in Pittsburgh. We'll transport it up the road, coordinating with city officials and with the police.
The route is to come up out of Panther Hollow next to CMU, on to Fifth Avenue, come down Fifth Avenue past the university. It weighs about 80 tons, which would be 160,000 pounds. And that's why you see it has 96 wheels on the trailer so they can distribute the weight evenly and protect the roads and not damage the roads from heavy weights.
As you go changes in terrain, the trailer itself will allow, you're basically operating on a bed of hydraulic fluid. It's got a lot of very detailed engineering that went into it, and it's kind of the right tool for the job.
Make a left, go past McGee Hospital, and pop out onto the Boulevard of the Allies right next to the old Isley's building, and pull into our substation right there.
Moving an electrical transformer actually connects with another great Pittsburgh engineering tradition. The Westinghouse Electric Company engineered and built much of the equipment that first generated and distributed electrical power, changing the world forever from right here in Pittsburgh.
It's very much a Pittsburgh thing. George Westinghouse won the battle of AC versus DC against Thomas Edison, and the very early developments in electricity, transmission and distribution of electricity was here in western Pennsylvania with George Westinghouse, out in the Wilmerding Turtle Creek area. Many of the first components were built in George Westinghouse's plant.
George Westinghouse founded some 60 different companies during his life, and in the early 1930s, Allegheny County civil engineers designed and built an incredible bridge in his honor. It comprised 5 concrete arches over the Turtle Creek Valley, built with an innovative combination of steel falsework and an elaborate system of overhead cableways that delivered buckets of concrete to the workers on the various arches. And while there was a lot of engineering involved in designing and figuring out how to erect this bridge, there were many workers who actually carried out the construction. Workers in the 19th and 20th centuries came to Pittsburgh from countries around the world because there was a lot of work here. There's no question. Hardworking immigrants help make Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh.
People came here, they worked in the mills, they stuck together, and they worked so hard, but they have this sense of joy about being what they are.
All the steel workers who lived here, they left their mark in this town, you know, that's a hard-working town.
We had everything here. We had Germans, Polish people, Hungarians, Yugoslavians, everything, Italians. I married an Italian.
We have so many different, not only ethnic people, but active ethnic people in that they are not ashamed to say who they are, and they practice by having a lot of activities.
Many groups have activities designed to preserve ethnic identity. And on this day at St. Gregory Byzantine Catholic Church in Upper St. Clair, folks in the Western Pennsylvania Slovak Cultural Association are gathering at the invitation of Joe Senko and his wife Albina.
We have different activities for our members, so this was just to be within our membership, but word got around, and I guess you can't keep a secret, you know, when there's good food involved.
Today it's sort of like a Slovak Mardi Gras. It's called Fashengi, but it's a pre-Lenten food festival to teach the people what it's going to taste like and also how to make it. We gave out recipes today.
The recipes are from the special guest cooks, Magda Lukachova and Mariana Grela.
Oh, my cooks are very special cooks. They are from Slovakia, from Košice area. Their husbands are employees of the U.S. Steel Košice Works, but they are working here. We start out with a dish that has meat, and then we're going to demonstrate some Lenten food from Slovakia, which is meatless. They had already made platsky and shishki.
And today, they're going to teach everyone to make Slovak halushki, little potato dumplings with cheese that are very different from the cabbage and noodles that most of these Pittsburghers know as halushki.
First, when we made the halushki, it was so hard because we don't know a consistency, what is the better, you know.
But learning is what this day is all about. Joe, who's honorary Slovak consul to Pennsylvania, will tell you that more Slovak immigrants settled in Pittsburgh than in any other American city.
No, they come over for work, and then they would stay with their friends till they learned English. And as a result, they had pockets, like people from the Spiš region would settle in South Side. People from the Zemplin region would settle on North Side. And the Shadish region would be Homestead and Braddock. So they'd go where their friends were or where their neighbors were.
People of similar backgrounds liked getting together, and obviously still do. Social clubs formed, dance groups, benefit societies that acted as insurance agencies, and maybe some culture from the old country got preserved, especially when it was served with goulash and other goodies.
It's good food, no matter what nationality you are, but majority of the people here have some Slovak connection, maybe way back in grandparents or great-grandparents, but they just like the food.
People like music, too, and it can also be important in matters of cultural preservation. And on one Saturday every year, if you hear singing at the club at Nevillewood in Collier Township, it may be the St. David's Society of Pittsburgh. Dave Williams is its president.
The society exists to keep Welsh culture and heritage alive. St. David is the patron saint of the country of Wales. He is to the country of Wales as St. Patrick is to Ireland.
March the 1st is St. David's Day, but this is wonderful that we can all get together on the weekend and celebrate St. David. And the whole idea is really just to bring Welsh people together.
Actually, not everybody's certifiably Welsh, but everybody's either a Welsh or a Welsh wannabe, and there's some Welsh wannabes, yeah.
I'm originally from Swansea in South Wales, and I got to Pittsburgh by marrying a GI who I met during World War II.
We actually have members who have, and so far as they can tell, no Welsh blood, but they're so attracted by the Welsh culture and the singing that they've joined our society.
Basically, if you get enough Welsh people in a room, somebody's going to start singing.
This is a tune called Myfanwy.
Singing is very important to Welsh kids. It's a part of their entire heritage with singing.
They break into song. If you go into any pub
in Wales, before you know it, people will be singing.
They sing, they wear kilts and funny hats, and occasionally they eat some odd appetizers.
Well, my shoes are called ghillie brogues, and notice how they're laced. This is how they would lace them in the old days.
They did wear stovepipe hats, but everybody didn't have one.
Here I have faggots. Now faggots are a very good old Welsh food from before my time. They're like little meatballs, and they're made from liver and onions and breadcrumbs. Faggots were popular early on when miners took them to work with them.
The feasting and the festivities end with the singing of hymns.
There's been a lot of speculation that people from Wales migrated to this part of the country because it so much resembled Wales.
Occasionally, this attempt to preserve culture can become a business. In the neighborhood of Hazelwood, there's an unusual small restaurant on 2nd Avenue called Yosha Corner.
The style is doing Hungarian country style family home cooking. No additives, no preservatives, everything from scratch, just like the way Grandma used to do it.
Alex Yosha Bodnar has run this place since 1988. Even the regulars here know it's always best to call ahead and make sure he's open before you go.
I was born and raised in Budapest, Hungary, the capital city, and I feel that Pittsburgh is my second home, and I lived in Hazelwood longer than any other place in my life.
I found out about him just by driving by on 885 here and seeing the sign, and being of Hungarian descent, of course, I was interested.
He answered the phone, and I said, "I'd like to come down." He said, "Getting ready to close, but I'll stay open for you. See you in a few minutes."
My husband and I moved here about 1.5 years ago, and he just happened to drive by, and knowing that I'm from Hungarian background.
I'm a real challenge for Alex because I'm a vegetarian Hungarian.
This is an oatmeal dough, and this is whole wheat and oatmeal.
As he described it, this is his sort of experiment to try to understand the people's desire for Hungarian food and the like.
I called it American Hungarian improvisational Hungarian cooking at large, and that's the whole idea, is to do traditional and combine the traditional, kind of adjust to the American ways too. And some people like it, some people don't. I mean, it's a personal thing like anything else,
Oh, it's always good. The langosh I love is one of my favorite things, the flatbread.
My grandmother always took care of it for me, and cooked the same kind of a food what Alex cooking here,
I always try to make it down here for lunch just to shoot the breeze.
Nagyon finom az étel.
Izleled, jó van. Bános Laci, te szeretted, amit eszel? Jó? Elég jó?
It's a rare chance that I can actually be in an environment where I can practice the Hungarian language.
You start off usually with the langosh.
Voila, again.
The Transylvanian goulash is always good. I copied it and tried it at home.
Finger food, just sort of pass it around.
And you can't forget the cucumber salad with the sour cream on top.
Food is good. The prices are reasonable, so what more can I ask? The owner, we tolerate the owner.
We all call up Alex and say, "We're making a reservation, we're coming down." And if the store's not going to be open that day, he'll open it up and we'll come in and he'll make whatever he wants, and we'll eat it.
The phone number is right on my door, above my door, and I'm listed in the yellow pages and the white pages.
I don't know how many people know about it. It's a small place, not on the main thoroughfare. You wouldn't necessarily stop here if you were driving by. The food is genuine. Alex is the definition of genuine.
You have a diverse group of people, all very interesting people, but they have one common bond, and that's keeping the Hungarian or Slovak or Croatian or any part of old Hungary's culture and customs alive.
To me, to reenact my heritage every day is kind of important. And what's kind of exciting about it is that I basically focus in on the situation that once you tasted my food, you become part of the family.
The mix of food and family and old world cultures can be powerful and delicious.
The best way to get somebody interested in your culture is through their stomachs.
Some Pittsburghers who like soup often end up on Saturday mornings in West Homestead at an unusual building on West 8th Avenue.
This organization is now called the Bulgarian Macedonian National Educational and Cultural Center. And we are the oldest Bulgarian organization in the United States. We are the only ones that have such a building.
Pat French, who's sometimes called Penka, is president and founder of the soup sale here.
This soup project that we have, it was just one of these things. We were putting money into this building and we needed to pay bills. You can imagine a 70-year-old building, how expensive it is to run.
It's called Soup Sega, which means soup now. And what we do is we make 14 to 15 kinds of soup that we offer every Saturday morning for sale to take out.
The chief cook here, Angel Roy, decides what's on the stove each week.
All right. A lot of soups that you're very familiar with, some with a little bit of a Bulgarian twist, some just pretty common to a lot of cultures, like a white bean soup that we make that has mint in it, which is very typical Bulgarian. It's quite tasty. It's really different.
The potato leek is frozen. The spicy tomato is fresh.
It seems that people are very interested in food. People are interested in good food, in healthy food, and we fit the bill.
Because nobody likes to make soup for just one or two people. If they can go and get homemade soup, then that's great.
And it now pays 70% of the bills for this building.
The soup is fantastic. It's inexpensive. It's a local thing that helps a community group that is a wonderful part of this region, and you can't beat the value.
This is the French onion, which is our special for the month. So I'm making it today, and it'll go on sale next week.
Each time I come for a board meeting, I go back laden with bags of soup. Yes, yes.
The Thracian chicken is my favorite, but they have both vegetarian and non-vegetarian. I'm not a vegetarian, but their vegetarian soups are so good that they are very attractive in terms of, you know, weight loss and all that good stuff.
You can buy soup, you can go up and watch your kids rehearse.
We've got the children, and they're rehearsing or they're singing.
It's like a club. Consider it an ethnic bowling league, if you will. We don't bowl here, but we dance and we sing and we make soup.
So there's always some sort of Bulgarian music in the background to keep me going and keep me stirring.
One of the reasons I do it, I feel it's my legacy from my parents, because they came over here and they struggled and they built a life for themselves, but they never forgot their heritage.
And a great many of the members have absolutely no Bulgarian heritage in them other than what they've learned here.
But having good soup at such a value at a wonderful place for the community, how can you beat that?
It's perfect. Who's hungry? Soup is ready.
Soup or no soup, almost everybody understands the joys of just being social. Ethnic groups established all sorts of clubs, but sometimes co-workers did too. In 1919, a group of African-American Pittsburghers started a social club that's still going strong on Frankstown Avenue in Homewood.
The name of this club is the WMCO Club, Westinghouse Electric Manufacturing Company.
Well, it used to be, years ago, the blacks that worked for Westinghouse, they had nowhere to go.
Black people or African Americans could not go to the Polish American or the Italian American clubs or whatever.
George Westinghouse donated and built the first club, so the blacks could have a social club like the white folks.
Back then, you had to be a Westinghouse employee in order to, be a member of this club.
That's the founder, Mr. Green.
Originally, they started a building down here on Brushton Avenue, then eventually moved up here, bought this lot and the lot next door, and here we are today.
That's Skip Allen, who's the current president of the WMCO Club.
When you get a certain age, there's not too many places you can go to. You can really just relax, like people here are doing. Just relax, have a beer or two, and go home. And this is what this is for.
I've been a member here, it's either 1974, 76, when I used to work for Westinghouse Corporation.
WABCO. I retired from WABCO, 1980.
As a technician in Material Science Division at the Research Center in Churchill.
A lot of good people out here that don't work at Westinghouse, or never did.
In order to be a member and get in the club, we have a membership card with your picture on it. And you got to swipe your card. We know who's coming in. We have a screening committee.
What I like about it is the camaraderie that you find, the safeness of it.
We sit here and talk about what's going on in the news and solve world problems.
Everybody calls it the old folks home.
Yeah, that's what they call it. That's what it is.
We play cards on bid whist and It's a social club. We do anything old folks like to do.
Everyone used to say the best kept secret, the Wimco Club.
It's not a secret. You just got to know where we're at and come in and see what it's about.
The police don't even know we're here because there's no trouble.
We give a lot of things back to the community, such as we donate financially to the YMCA, the YWCA. We do things for the young children in the Homewood area.
That's why we're proud to say we're part of the neighborhood, you know, because we do more than just sit here and drink.
I love the people in it, like the activities. I give it 110%.
You're comfortable here. You're really, really comfortable with the Wimco Club.
I don't let things bring me down, so I just enjoy life, and this is part of my life.
If you're a Pittsburgh ease person, you know, yins all know that. We're all family here.
It's not the only place in town that makes Pittsburgh, but it makes a contribution.
Various clubs, organizations, even small businesses do contribute. And you know, Pittsburgh wouldn't be Pittsburgh without some very good neighborhood bakeries.
I'm on the road all day. I stop at every bakery I can when I'm going by. I just haven't ever stopped here yet.
This is Jenny Lee Bakery in McKees Rocks.
It's probably the best bakery around.
Jenny Lee is like a legend around here.
We drive 25 miles to come down.
And I come here because they have good things.
Bernie Baker bought this business from his father.
My family started in the baking business in 1875. My great-grandfather started a little bakery in West End. He had 7 sons. Eventually, all 7 were in the baking business, and they called it 7 Baker Brothers. Time progressed, they got trucks and stuff, but in 1938, my dad and a couple of his uncles and a cousin started Jenny Lee Bakery.
And today we are a good blend of wholesale and retail. We sell 3 retail stores and about 30 supermarkets we supply.
Scott Baker, Bernie's son, is 5th generation in Pittsburgh baking.
We make everything. We're full line. When you hear full line, we really are. Cookies, donuts, cakes, pies.
You don't realize how many cookies is being baked in any given day at a bakery, or how many cakes, or, you know, whatever is being done at a bakery. You have no idea. All you care about is your cake.
They're making peanut brittle right now. We'll go through about 3,000 pounds of peanuts.
When I first knew I had to make peanut butter, I thought, oh my God, I can't do it. But now, I can do it in my sleep with my eyes closed.
It's like, this is what I want to do. I mean, I love it. I love food and making stuff look nice.
And that's one of the main things that makes Jenny Lee Bakery is our people. You know, we have the traditions that my grandfather started, but these people have been around long enough to believe in those traditions.
And this is where our parents came down. We grew up here, so we're probably all related somehow.
Pittsburgh's one of the few towns that are left that still have a lot of retail bakeries.
Not as many as we once had, but many still worth checking out, including Bethel Bakery on Brightwood Road in Bethel Park.
I've been coming here many, many, many years. Well, I've been coming here all my life. I was born and raised in Bethel Park.
Well, I moved to this town probably about 20 years ago.
I'm from Whitehall.
I've come here forever, since I moved to Bethel Park to teach many years ago.
I mean, I passed at least 5 other bakeries, you know, but I still come here.
First time I ever come in here, I swear that I will come in here again, and every chance I get, I'll be right here.
It's in their product. Eat a sweet roll somewhere else and eat a sweet roll here and see the difference.
I'm always amazed at what goes on out in our store, and sometimes the camaraderie of the people. We have some really fabulous customers.
And that's Chris Walsh. She and her husband, John, own and run Bethel Bakery. John has known this place all his life.
My dad, Morris Walsh, started the bakery with my mother, Anna Walsh, in 1955, just around the block from here on South Park Road.
We were the first retail bakery that baked on a premises in Bethel Park at that time.
The first 35 years of Bethel Bakery, Mo and I had it. At times, I said to him, let's get rid of it. But we hung in there.
And I like to say that a business, when the second generation takes over, it usually never stays status quo. It either goes down or takes off to a new level. And John's taken it to a new level.
We're a manufacturer, and we're also a retailer in one operation, which gives us a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities for failure, but it's what makes
retail bakery special.
And we have a lot of fun working here, too. It's a piece of cake.
It was my wedding cake, and if I'm very good, it's my birthday cake every year.
My greatest pleasure is just getting to know my customers, and I like the bantering with them and just the hominess of that.
All I know is the donuts are good, coffee is good, service is good, so I'm here.
It depends on what I need. Today I'm here for buns to make chipped ham sandwiches.
We have really excellent cakes. I like the cakes. I can't eat a grocery store cake anymore.
We have the things that are made that big stores really try to make, but they can't.
When you bake in a bakery, you're using these large revolving type ovens. And the more product you have in the oven that's baking at that time, they bake in their own moisture and create a cake that's moister.
It smells good. You get to eat your mistakes. Not that we make any.
These are going to be pretzel donuts, believe it or not. That's one of our special things that you don't usually find in any other bakery, I don't think.
This is just yellow batter, yellow cake batter we use for all our yellow cakes. And I just add another 2 pounds of chocolate batter into it. And I just kind of swirl it in. Make a nice little design.
If you were to ask our typical customer, they would probably say it's the French buttercream.
Everybody loves the icing.
12-inch chocolate batter. Happy birthday, Larry, with love. Okay?
That's beautiful.
The frosting is the best.
I think more so the decorating.
Oh, decorating
I mean,
is
it's like a piece of art.
The cake decorating is something I don't think you can find anywhere else.
Just putting buds on this, and then this is done.
I have a huge family and a huge baby shower, and I was in charge of the cake. So it was a slam dunk. I bought the cake from Bethel Bakery, brought it to Dell's in Bloomfield for the shower, and a lady from Monroeville took one look at it and said, "This has got to be from Bethel Bakery." She knew it from the decorating.
I think that's what makes a difference in our cakes too, is the amount of detail we do.
We're just practicing a new wedding cake over there.
Each year we try to go look at our designs, and we always want to try to bring up something new, something different.
The wedding department is managed by John's youngest sister, Christine.
When you have a family-owned bakery, it's the personality behind it. It's the warmth. It's the, when you look forward to seeing those customers that you know all the time just as well as they look forward to seeing you.
There used to be a lot more bakeries here, so the bakeries that we do have are important.
The bakery, I think, is very important, and the people that live in Bethel and, work here, we take pride in that.
It's the cake, it's the icing, it's the tradition.
It's a part of what you grew up with and part of familiarity and just part of being home.
From what I can see, we're still going strong.
Another factor that helps make Pittsburgh strong is our incredible ability to surprise people. We are a city of unexpected charms, things you wouldn't imagine are here. On the south side, there's an odd little building that houses the Green Building Alliance. Its executive director, Rebecca Flora, knows a lot about this colorful type of structure.
A green building is an environmentally responsible building. That's a lot. But that means basically the materials in the building are non-toxic, so they're healthy buildings. They're actually also very high-performing buildings, so they're very energy efficient.
And Rebecca loves to show off the David L. Lawrence Convention Center, designed by architect Raphael Vignoli.
This is the world's largest green building and the first green convention center in the world also.
It's a structural surprise outside and in.
Probably the most exciting features are the natural ventilation system that allows fresh air to come in from outside, off from the river's edge, which provides a much better air quality in the building. So that's one of the really important ones that I like to point out. And also the natural daylighting. We actually can do show setup without any lights on in the exhibit hall on a day that's even cloudy in Pittsburgh. The other feature I like to talk about is our water reclamation system. Actually, all the water that's used in this building goes down drains through a water reclamation system that recycles the water and uses it for toilet flushing. And with that, we reduce the chemically treated water used in this building by 50%. And so it's really a gem. It's, I think, the newest icon for the new Pittsburgh.
It's a nice surprise. But there were wonderful unexpected pieces of old Pittsburgh all around too. Like in the town of Natrona, about 20 miles up the Allegheny River. Many mornings there, you may see Mary Jane Zadilla walking to work.
This was an old car dealership at one time. This was a Nash car dealership back in the early 30s.
For a long time, it's been a small business that makes red ribbon pop, the Natrona Bottling Company. Paul Bowser is its president and CEO.
Well, we've been here since 1939. My brother started it. Took it over, rather. The business itself started in 1904 by a fellow by the name of Ed Welsh.
Small bottling companies like this are now very rare, but this one still makes a killer red ribbon cherry.
Things we make, the average bottler doesn't want to make. It's not big enough or fast enough for.
The difference is we do microcrafting. This is done on older equipment, and we use the old style processing.
There's not a bottle of soda pop made in Allegheny County, whether it be Coke, Pepsi, or you name it, outside of us.
It may look antique, but it's very functional, and I think the quaintness of it all adds to the magic.
It's just an old-fashioned formula. It's a good product, an excellent product now. Like I said, I never tasted any better than that.
That's Art Lingenfelter, who works here whenever they're bottling.
Yeah, I drink this stuff. I love it.
Everything we make is just a little bit different than the other fellow. We actually use pure cane sugar in our products. Everybody uses this high fructose corn sugar, which is just about half the price of cane sugar, but it's cheaper, so that's the reason they use it.
Steve Vokish takes care of the ingredients downstairs and the flavors upstairs in the mix room.
Steve is our master bottler. Steve has been here for 30 years.
We got a formula we put on. I think it's 396 ounces of cherry extract, 140 ounces of citric acid, and that's cherry pop.
And he makes things run.
He takes care of everything. He knows all the formulas and everything.
I mix the sugar up and mix the syrup up and run the machine downstairs.
From the mixed room, it comes through tubing into the filler. In the filler, the syrup, which is called crow, is added to the bottles. From there, it goes to where the carbonation and water is added, and then the bottles are capped.
And then from there on in, it keeps going down along a line. It goes through a mixer, which is a tumbler affair and mixes out all uniform.
It usually runs pretty good this fall, but today we're having a little bit of trouble with it.
You may see bottles with higher and lower fill, but the funny thing is it's the lower fill that actually has more flavor.
And it comes on around and picks a label up.
Labels are put on one at a time, and the arms go up and down and up and down.
It's old, but it runs good. It's pretty fast, and that. It's a good machine.
And then it goes back around and onto a turntable, and from there it's taken by hand and put into the cases. And there's 24 bottles to a case, and these are the 12-ounce bottles.
Bottles are a luxury right now, glass bottles. In fact, the glass production is running about 5% below demand, and they're still shutting glass houses down. So we haven't been able to go out and do what we wanted to do for the simple reason we don't have the glass to do it with.
If you look closely, you may notice the bubbles in this stuff are tiny.
The reason the bubbles are different, we use a different type carbonation than most other bottlers use. Everybody uses CO2 gas out of a big tanker, and these boys, this is the way they have to do it for the volume they use. We don't do it that way.
We get the CO2 from dry ice that is delivered, and we put it in the canisters, and it takes approximately a day and a half for the dry ice to produce the CO2.
And we can get a finer pinpoint carbonation.
It does wonders for the flavor.
On some days, Natrona Bottling makes a popular product specially packaged in bigger green wine bottles.
This looks like a bottle of the real champagne, only it isn't. It's Champagne-O. It's a non-alcoholic type champagne.
The Champagne-O, when it is produced, it is done by hand. The stoppers are put in by hand. The wire hoods are put on by hand.
And then we make a drink called Jamaica's finest ginger beer, and a red ribbon root beer, And now we've come out with a Pennsylvania Punch. There's nothing cheap about our products. We're in the Mercedes class, not the Chevys. Chevys, you go to the other fellow that has it on sale, you know. For what you can buy a case of some of the stuff on sale for, you're lucky you go out with 2 bottles of ours. But there's that class of people that want ours, and they like the product.
We do have a website, and through the website we have gotten a lot of inquiries. We have shipped through the website.
It's an awesome product, without a doubt. I don't know where you'd ever come to find a product as good as this anywhere.
I like it. I mean, it's all I know. I mean, I'm not a golfer, I'm not a fisherman. I mean, I'm a pump man. I like what it is.
People don't realize we're still here. The company's been here 66 years, and it's just a little well-kept secret.
Oh, it's surprises like this that help make Pittsburgh a fascinating and flavorful place to live. But if you ask people what makes our city special, you might guess what the most common answer is.
Well, Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh because of the people.
I think it's the people.
The people. It's the people.
The people.
People? I don't know. Pittsburgh people are special.
The people are so courteous.
The majority of them now. I'm not going to say all of them.
We're pretty down-to-earth people, you know, very approachable, hardworking.
I've never met more friendly people that'll go out of their way to do anything for you.
The way the city was laid out, it's so jumbled that you really need each other to get where you're going. And
I'm an 83-year-old lady who goes out on my bus pass and meet people everywhere who want to talk to you.
If you're lost, you could stop and ask someone, and they don't only just show you, but they take you over there. Like they could say, oh, you go down the street here, we drive you to where you need to go.
I think the people make up what Pittsburgh is really all about.
We make Pittsburgh Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People.
We're nice. People make Pittsburgh. People. Yeah. People make Pittsburgh Pittsburgh.
What may make the people of Pittsburgh truly special, the thing that distinguishes almost all local inhabitants, is the power of people to become Steeler fans.
It's Pittsburgh Steeler time!
Whether you're rooting the team on at a game or making a special trip to Heinz Field for a pep rally, you might try to figure out why we love the Steelers so much.
Because I was born and raised 5 minutes from this stadium, and my life has been Steelers since day one.
It's the greatest team there is, in any sport. Nobody is better than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's what Pittsburgh's known for, is our football team.
I live in Pittsburgh. I love my team. So.
This is our Sunday Mass right here. Sunday Mass, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It's really great. I've never seen fans so dedicated to a sports team. They've been in every game so far.
Every game this year.
Every game in Heinz Field. They're good. They all click together. They're down to earth. They're not cocky. They're just the greatest. And I think so many of the men have a good heart.
They're going to bring their A game because our fans want the A game. We got guys having heart attacks in bars, man. Come on, brother.
We're all out here just to come out and have fun and watch some good, solid football.
To see it live, it's better than seeing it on TV. You get to see it right there in front of your face.
And I'm just into going to the ball games. I could be home nice and warm, but I'd rather be here.
And I'll tell you what, there's no wind like the wind from a terrible town.
I love seeing Steelers fans. They're great. They're most supportive.
How about when the crowd's all fired up when you're right in the middle of it? I mean, it's hard to beat.
It's like a family. It's like a family atmosphere. You know, a rowdy family, but a family atmosphere nonetheless.
Some families develop game traditions.
We've been Steeler fans since I was 2 years old. I used to sit on my daddy's lap in my house and watch the game with him.
It's family tradition is putting up this sign and taking it down every game. We've been doing it for over 30 years.
That's Harry Everett and his family, and they're the folks with the famous Steeler Country banner.
Well, what happened was when we first bought our season tickets in Three Rivers Stadium, we were sitting over where the visiting players came out, and we were thinking of something that we wanted to show them they were in Pittsburgh. So I thought of the design, and my father-in-law painted it. And then we hung it up so every time the visiting players came out, they saw that they were in Steeler country. They weren't home, and they were in for a bad day. And we've been hanging it ever since.
My brother's really good with taking it to all the games now. So it's exciting.
It's not too bad. I mean, it usually takes a couple of us to do it. You know, it's well worth it in the long run, I think. So it's been a part of my family history since before I was born, and I'm just honored to continue the tradition. And eventually, hopefully, you know, I would like to see it hung at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's what I'm hoping for right now.
Couldn't find a prenuptial agreement that would cover being a Steeler fan, but I worked hard at it.
And I've got my next generation loving them as much as me.
It's our home team.
It's our home team. It's a
just
good
like the
team.
Penguins, just like the Pirates, we're that way with all our teams.
I'll tell you what, just last night I was telling her when I was her age was when Pittsburgh was known as the City of Champions.
You can go anywhere in the nation, and you always meet a Steeler fan. Oh yeah.
This is the best football in the country. I live in Texas. I'm tired of hearing about Texas. This is where it's at. That's why we're here.
If they win or lose, we're gonna love them. It doesn't matter. We're just true. We're just true to Steelers, you know.
It's a lot of tradition along with the Mills, the team, the Steelers 70s dynasty. You can't compare that, baby.
Here he goes, Steelers, here he goes.
Steeler fans are a hard act to follow, especially in years when we win the Super Bowl. So maybe it's best just to ponder one final time the big question. What makes Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh?
Do you want me to tell them? Go right ahead. It's everything. It's just the whole aura of it.
I think there's not a simple answer. I think it's a combination of history and heritage, and topography and hills and rivers.
Out of all the places that I lived in, I'm not just saying this for your benefit, this is the most wonderful place I've ever lived.
It's a miracle that things happen the way they do, but Pittsburgh is a unique town.
So it's really just the collection of amenities and the people and the fact that you can be part of it. It's very accessible.
People have stayed here, and kids have come back. Wish my kids had come back.
My sister lives in Detroit, and she should come back to Pittsburgh, too.
I don't think there's anything that can compare to being here, honestly.
It's the right size. The people here are wonderful. I love everything about Pittsburgh.
I mean, what you ever looking for, you can find in Pittsburgh, and many times in the bargain prices.
It's hard to say. We just love it here.
There's obviously no real answer, except maybe a combination of all these things and countless more. It's just a city worth celebrating.
This is home. Everybody loves home.
This is not on right now, right?
Yes.
Oh, no, it's not, is it?
One gal in particular stands on the corner of the boat before every game.
Yeah, you were on your program once. We were on Holy Pittsburgh. You did our wedding.
Leans over the side and says, "Get her done, you dirty dogs."
We have a nice TV, too. We'd rather be here.
What is it?
It's Sony.
No.
What makes Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh?
You're on
Talent.
You're on. You're on.
Nothing but a fine view.
Party foul.
We're not a good interview, are we?
So have you thought about it? I mean, what makes Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh?
Oh, geez, don't ask me again. I am so sorry. That last time.
Is this all on tape? All right.
Major funding for What Makes Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh was provided by the Buell Foundation, serving southwestern Pennsylvania since 1927. Additional funding was provided by Nova Chemicals, producing plastics and chemicals essential to everyday life.